Las Vegas, famously known as Sin City, portrays a place where anything seems possible. With its iconic casinos, luxury hotels, dazzling shows, and world-class restaurants, it feels like an adult playground. The dream of striking it rich overnight only adds to the excitement. But behind the bright lights is a hidden reality. Did you know the Mafia played major roles in building this city? Or that some people live in very crude conditions in tunnels beneath those casinos? Join us as we unveil the dark side of the phrase, Viva Las Vegas. The unlikely city. Las Vegas is one of those places that sounds like it's straight out of a movie. It's a city that's literally risen up out of the desert, a place of blazing heat, rugged mountains, and nothingness as far as the eye can see. But then, right in the middle of all that emptiness, you've got this city that's like a whole different world. Known as the entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas is famous for its bright lights, massive casinos, and round-the-clock action. Walking along the famous Las Vegas Strip reveals a whirlwind of sights. Neon signs flashing brightly, replicas of the Eiffel Tower and Egyptian pyramids, and fountains dancing rhythmically to music. The city bursts with energy, loud and bold, almost daring anyone to join in on the fun. The story of how Las Vegas came to be is really interesting. It's a fascinating tale that's full of surprises. Back in the early 1900s, this area was just a quiet railroad stop surrounded by dusty land and a few freshwater springs. Those springs are actually where the city got its name. Las Vegas means the meadows in Spanish. These springs helped settlers survive in the desert, and soon a tiny community started to grow. By the time the 1930s rolled around, something big happened that changed everything: the construction of the Hoover Dam. Thousands of workers moved to the area for jobs, and with them came businesses to keep everyone entertained. Gambling, which had been illegal in many places, was made legal here in 1931. That's when casinos started popping up, and Las Vegas began to earn its reputation as a playground for adults. Fast forward to today, and Las Vegas is more than just a place for gambling. Sure, the casinos are still a big deal. People come from all over the world to try their luck at slot machines, poker tables, or roulette wheels. But Las Vegas is also home to giant conventions like the CES Technology Show, where cutting-edge inventions like robots and self-driving cars are unveiled. And then there's the entertainment: big-name concerts, magic shows, and performances that draw millions of visitors every year. Even Hollywood can't resist the city's charm. Las Vegas has been the backdrop for some pretty famous movies, from James Bond's Diamonds Are Forever to the comedy The Hangover. And let's not forget the TV show CSI Las Vegas, which turned the city's glittery streets into a stage for solving fictional crimes. But beyond the lights and glamour, Las Vegas is still a real city where people live and work. It has neighborhoods, schools, and everyday places like grocery stores and parks. It's a city of contrasts: glitzy hotels on one side, regular homes on the other. And while millions of tourists come for the fun, thousands of residents are drawn to the area for its opportunities and unique vibe. Las Vegas may seem like an unlikely place for a city, but it's a reminder that even in the harshest landscapes, something extraordinary can take root and thrive. So whether you're there to win big at a casino, catch a show, or just explore, Las Vegas proves there's no place quite like it. Las Vegas Boulevard. They call it Las Vegas Boulevard, but most people know it simply as the Strip. Stretching about 4 miles through the heart of the city, this iconic stretch of road is much more than just pavement lined with buildings. It's a passport to the world, wrapped up in a whirlwind of neon lights, grand architecture, and endless entertainment. When you walk onto the Strip in Las Vegas, it's like entering a huge playground for adults. If you start at the top end, near the big Stratosphere Tower, you'll feel like you're taking a wild ride through different times and places. It's all pretty crazy and fun, and the best part is, you don't even have to leave Nevada to experience it. If you have ever wanted to visit ancient Egypt, no need to book a flight. The Luxor Hotel, shaped like a giant glass pyramid with a massive sphinx out front, feels like a slice of ancient Egypt dropped into the middle of Vegas. Step inside, and there are hieroglyphics on the walls, golden statues everywhere, and a glowing light at the top of the pyramid that shoots into the night sky, making it impossible to miss. Let's not forget about Paris,
which used to be part of the Horseshoe Casino right next door to the Paris.
A short stroll south takes you to the Paris Las Vegas Hotel, where you'll find a half-size replica of the Eiffel Tower standing tall above the Strip.
Everything at this hotel is French-themed. They even have a half-size replica of the Eiffel Tower out front.
The elevator ride offers an incredible view of the city, with sparkling lights below that nearly rival the real city of light. For those who dream of Venetian canals, the Venetian delivers. Here, gondoliers paddle through waterways that weave between marble bridges and colorful facades, serenading guests as they drift under ceilings painted like the sky. It's a slice of Venice, complete with cobblestone streets and Italian charm, all tucked neatly into the Nevada desert. But the Strip isn't just about its global replicas. It's also about its energy. Crowds buzz with excitement as they hop from one attraction to the next. Flashing signs and towering video screens make it feel like daytime, even at midnight. And at the center of it all is the Bellagio, home to the famous dancing fountains that shoot water high into the air, perfectly timed to music. However, the Strip wasn't always like this. Decades ago, Las Vegas Boulevard was part of United States Route 91, a main highway connecting Los Angeles and Salt Lake City. When Interstate 15 took over in the 1960s, the Strip shifted from being a mere road to a global destination. By 1959, the street had earned its current name, a nod to its importance in the Las Vegas Valley. Today, the Strip is officially designated an all-American road and even boasts a National Scenic Byway section. South of its bustling center, the boulevard stretches into quieter areas, eventually leading to rural desert lands. Las Vegas Boulevard is one of a kind. You can walk from Egypt to Paris in just minutes, which is pretty surreal. The street takes the desert landscape and turns it into a world-class spectacle. As you stroll along the bustling boulevard, you're surrounded by a mesmerizing blend of global landmarks, all shrunk down to size. But stepping into a casino, that's a different world altogether. One designed to keep players playing and, more importantly, staying. Casino psychological tactics.
We have a whole video dedicated to that, so be sure to check that out here.
As you push through the doors of a casino, a strange sensation washes over you, like a whisper in the back of your mind that something isn't quite right. There are no windows and no clocks. The lack of daylight or ticking timepieces might not register at first, but that's the entire point. Casinos are engineered to make one lose track of time, and with it, the sense of reality. It starts with the design. By removing external cues, like the rise and fall of the sun or the subtle movements of the clock's hands, casinos trap people in a time bubble. The world outside ceases to exist, and focus is drawn inward toward the vibrant lights and chiming slot machines. Hours slip by unnoticed, and before one knows it, what was thought to be late evening is dawn, with birds chirping outside. This tactic is so effective because it's a psychological trick.
Dang it, dude. $30 down already. I'm gonna turn it around.
Yeah, you got it?
That plays on our natural rhythms. Humans rely on environmental markers to structure their day. When those markers are removed, our internal clock loses its bearings. With no reminder that it's time for bed or dinner, players continue gambling, their bodies unaware of the late hour. The house knows that the longer players stay, the more money is likely to be spent, and this simple omission makes a big difference to their bottom line. But that's not all. Casinos amplify this disorientation with their interior layout. Maze-like pathways guide through rows upon rows of slot machines and gaming tables. Even basic amenities like restrooms or exits are strategically positioned deep within the casino. Each step taken to reach them requires passing by opportunities to gamble. For many, the temptation is too strong to resist. While players wander, the casino creates an environment that feels both thrilling and oddly comforting. Dim lighting softens the space, making it feel like a cozy living room rather than a cavernous gambling hall. Warm tones and rich fabrics surround players, subtly encouraging them to relax and stay longer. Then there's the sensory overload. Flashing lights, upbeat music, and the constant jingle of coins falling into trays make one believe they are in a lucky environment. The truth is that the clinking sound is often an artificial recording.
20.
Look at that.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Hell
Let's
yeah.
go.
Cleverly placed to give the illusion of constant wins. Players hear the success and feel compelled to keep going, convinced their turn is coming any second now. The result is a psychological tug-of-war. Gamblers are lulled into a state where time fades, surroundings blend, and their focus sharpens on one thing: the next spin, roll, or hand. It's not just gambling, it's immersion. Casinos are not designed to cheat players outright. Instead, they rely on subtle psychological nudges to keep one seated, betting, and hopeful. It's a world built to feed on optimism and the belief that luck is always just one bet away. But as exciting as it may seem, the reality is clear. The house always wins. And that's no accident. But beneath the bright lights and endless energy of Las Vegas is a hidden world where desperation meets survival. The underground tunnels. Las Vegas is famous for its bright neon lights and busy streets, but hidden beneath all the excitement is something very different: a maze of tunnels meant to carry rainwater. These tunnels, which go on for more than 600 miles, were never meant for people to live in. But today, many people without homes use them as a tough place to stay. The tunnels were first built to stop the city from flooding when it rains really hard. They were designed to move rainwater away from the streets so the city wouldn't get flooded. On paper, it seemed like a great idea, but what's really going on down in those tunnels isn't as impressive as it seems up above. Instead, these tunnels have turned into an underground world where survival rules reign. For many, ending up here wasn't part of the plan. Take John Henson, a 67-year-old convenience store worker on the Strip. John has a steady job, but he lives in the tunnels, not because he wants to, but because he has no other choice. Rent is so expensive that most of his money goes to pay for it, leaving him with nothing else. On top of that, John's gambling problem makes things worse. Even when he wins money, his addiction causes him to lose it all quickly, keeping him stuck in a cycle that forces him to live underground. John's story is just one of many. People who live in the tunnels often have similar stories, their dreams shattered by money problems, addiction, or bad luck. Some came to Las Vegas hoping for a better life, only to be buried by bills and low-paying jobs.
You know, to be perfectly honest, I'm grateful. I'm grateful because it could always be worse. It definitely can always be worse.
Others, like Jay, have been living underground for over 10 years. Jay says life in the tunnels is tough and lonely. Flooding is always a risk, and theft happens all the time. He also believes the tunnels are haunted, and some others agree with him. Jay's story shows how hard survival is down there. He's seen violence, including murders and terrible injuries, and there's a lot of drug use. The sense of community that might have once existed is gone. Everyone is too busy watching out for themselves. Living underground isn't easy. There's no electricity, clean water, or fresh air. People use battery-powered lanterns, candles, or the little sunlight that leaks in through cracks above. They build their homes with whatever they can find: old mattresses, blankets, and cardboard boxes as furniture.
Your bed, you crash out over there for the night. We'll put your bed up over here.
But no matter what they do, life down there is still really hard. The smell in the tunnels is really strong, like rotting garbage, waste, and old, musty air. It's hard to stay clean, and there's always the chance of getting sick. Rats and cockroaches are everywhere, and most of the things people own come from trash or what others give them. But some still hold on to a few memories from their past, like old photos or small keepsakes that help them remember better times. What was Las Vegas's golden era like in the cold, calculated hands of the Mafia? Mafia's brutal underbelly. Las Vegas might look all shiny and exciting today, but its past was far from perfect. Underneath the bright lights and fancy buildings, there's a history full of crime, betrayal, and violence. The Mafia played a big part in shaping what we know as Sin City. They didn't just happen to find Las Vegas. They saw a chance to make something big in the middle of the desert. The idea came from Benjamin Bugsy Siegel, a mobster who was both charming and tough. Siegel, who used to be a feared hitman, decided to focus on gambling after Prohibition ended. In 1946, he opened the Flamingo Hotel, a fancy casino and resort that was unlike anything Las Vegas had seen before. It was a big gamble, one that would change the city forever. The Flamingo's first days were tough, with money problems and lots of delays, but Siegel's dream set the stage for what Las Vegas would become. But in the Mafia world, paying for big dreams was dangerous. Siegel spent a lot of money and was rumored to have mismanaged mob funds, which upset his partners. In 1947, Siegel's life ended when a sniper shot him at his girlfriend Virginia Hill's home in Beverly Hills. His death made it clear that betrayal or failure wouldn't be allowed. Even though Siegel was gone, his ideas inspired Mafia families from places like Chicago, New York, and Cleveland to invest in the city. With their money and connections, they turned Las Vegas into a place for adults to have fun. But behind the scenes, the Mafia used the casinos to hide money from illegal activities. Movies like The Godfather Part 2 and Casino show the drama and lies of this time. But the real story was even darker. In 2022, the shrinking of Lake Mead uncovered haunting signs of this violent past. One of the most chilling discoveries was a man's body found in a barrel, a grim reminder of how the Mafia used to handle business during their rule in the 1970s and 1980s. The mob had a big hand in how Las Vegas casinos were built and run. They used money from the Teamsters Central States Pension Fund, which was controlled by union leaders with Mafia ties, to help finance casinos like the Stardust and the Riviera. Behind the scenes, men like Meyer Lansky and Mo Dalitz, who were deep into organized crime, made sure the money kept coming in, straight to their secret pockets. Even though Las Vegas eventually broke free from the mob's grip, their influence still hangs around. The city's rise from a quiet desert stop to the bustling entertainment capital it is now was a mix of big dreams and dangerous choices. Today, people can visit the Mob Museum to learn about this dark past and see how it shaped the city we know today. Now let's move from the hidden world beneath the city to the big difference between the bright, flashing lights of the Strip and the tough lives of the working poor. Devastating social inequality. In a city famous for its huge casinos, fancy hotels, and star-studded events, it's impossible to ignore the huge gap between the rich and the poor. Las Vegas, called the entertainment capital of the world, is a place where big money and fame shine. But behind all the bright lights and flashy signs, many of the people who keep the city going live in ways most people would rather not think about. The people who do important jobs like driving, cooking, parking cars, and keeping places safe don't get paid much. Most of the time, their pay isn't enough to cover their basic needs. For example, housekeepers in casinos earn about $18,000 a year, which is nowhere near enough to pay for the high rent and daily costs in the city. Now compare that to the huge salaries of the big bosses in the same business. In 2011, Gary Loveman, the boss of Caesars Entertainment, made $20.4 million. It would take over 1,100 housekeepers working for a whole year to make that much money. This big difference isn't just a problem in Las Vegas, it shows a bigger issue that affects workers all over the world. It's not just about low pay. Living in Las Vegas is really expensive. So many workers end up owing a lot of money. Some get so desperate that they start gambling, drinking, or using drugs, which only makes things worse. This makes it even harder for them to break free from being poor. Even though they work really hard and for long hours, the dream of having a better life in Vegas can disappear fast, leaving them stuck in a money problem that feels impossible to fix. On the other side of the economic divide, the wealthy live in luxury. In this world, $1,000 bottles of champagne and private police forces are commonplace. While rich people enjoy their fancy lives, the workers who serve them have to work very hard just to get by. It's sad and unfair. Las Vegas is full of bright lights and fancy hotels that bring in tourists from all over the world, but the workers who make it all happen often live in very difficult situations. For example, many immigrant workers who helped build the city's tall buildings live in small, run-down homes far away from the nice areas where tourists stay. These workers are treated poorly, working long hours for very little pay. Sometimes their jobs feel like modern-day slavery. Tourists don't see this side of Las Vegas. For visitors, it's a place of fun and luxury, but for the workers, it's a life full of challenges and struggles. In the end, the ones who suffer the most from this unfairness are the people who have the least. While the rich keep getting richer, the poor are left to deal with the problems of a system that doesn't work for them. Discriminatory legal system. There's an unfair divide that many don't talk about, a legal system that pushes the most vulnerable people, like the homeless, aside. It seems like there are two sets of rules, one for rich people and tourists, and another, much harsher one, for the homeless. On the famous Las Vegas Strip, where everything looks fancy and exciting, the rules are clear, but only for certain people. Homeless people aren't allowed to sit, stand, or even stay in some areas for too long. They aren't allowed to be within 18 meters of an elevator either. Breaking these rules can lead to fines or even going to jail. There's also another strange rule. If a homeless person pushes a shopping cart with the store's name on it, they can get in trouble. This is tough because many homeless people use carts to carry their belongings. These kinds of laws make it feel like just trying to survive is against the rules. For them, even small, simple things they do to get by are treated as crimes. But the issue runs deeper. Residents living in tunnels and underground spaces report that there's even a special court designed just to deal with the homeless. This court isn't about helping people get back on their feet or offering them support. Instead, it focuses on punishing those who are already struggling the most. Many homeless people end up in this court, where they are quickly given fines or other penalties. Meanwhile, these rules don't seem to apply to wealthier people who stay in the bright hotels and casinos. The main reason for these rules is tourism. Local groups say the goal is to clean up the streets so tourists can enjoy their time gambling and partying without seeing homeless people. To keep things looking perfect for visitors, the homeless are often pushed out of sight or even sent to jail. In a city famous for its wealth and fancy lifestyle, there's a very different reality for people who are poor. While the casino lights keep shining, those with nothing are being forced further into the shadows. These laws don't help them or treat them fairly. They only make life harder so that others can stay comfortable. Moving from the legal hurdles, let's take a closer look at one peculiar aspect of the state's gambling laws: its stance on lotteries. Unique Nevada gambling laws. In Nevada, the heart of the United States gambling industry, where the neon lights of the Las Vegas Strip are synonymous with high-stakes games, one might be surprised to learn that lotteries are completely banned. It's an interesting rule, especially since gambling is such a big part of Nevada's identity. The casinos are super important to the state's economy, bringing in millions of visitors every year who come to play games like poker and slot machines. The reason Nevada doesn't have a state-run lottery comes down to protecting its casinos, which are the heart of the state's gambling industry. Casinos play a massive role in Nevada's economy. They attract millions of visitors every year, provide thousands of jobs, and bring in a huge amount of tax revenue that supports public services. If a state lottery were introduced, it might compete with the casinos by pulling money away from them. People could choose to spend their money on lottery tickets instead of visiting casinos to play games like poker, blackjack, or slot machines. This would hurt the casino business and could have a big impact on the state's economy, which relies heavily on the success of these casinos. Unlike other states, where lotteries are a quick and easy way to generate money for schools or community projects, Nevada has chosen a different path. The state has decided to focus entirely on its casino industry, ensuring that nothing takes attention or money away from it. By doing this, Nevada maintains its reputation as a top gambling destination, while keeping its economy strong and its casino industry thriving. This ban on lotteries might seem strange, especially since lotteries are so common across the country. Many states use lotteries to raise money for things like schools, roads, and public services. But Nevada has a different plan. The state relies on its casinos, which bring in tourists from all over the world. These casinos offer all kinds of exciting games, from flashing slot machines to high-stakes poker tables. For Nevada, the focus is clear: stick with what works. This choice makes sense when you think about how much gambling Nevada already offers. The state isn't just about casinos. It also has things like table games, sports betting, and horse race betting. With so many options, Nevada stands out as one of the top gambling spots in the world. Compared to these exciting experiences, buying a lottery ticket, which takes only a few seconds and no skill, wouldn't feel as special. Nevada also has very strict rules to keep gambling fair and honest. The Nevada Gaming Control Board and the Nevada Gaming Commission make sure casinos follow these rules. They check everything, from who owns the casinos to how the games are run. The state's goal is to make gambling safe and trustworthy. Adding something like a lottery could make it harder to manage these rules and keep everything running smoothly. Even without a lottery, Nevada has done really well by focusing only on its casinos. This strategy has helped it stay a leader in the gambling world. While it might seem strange that a state so famous for gambling doesn't have a lottery, Nevada's success shows that its plan works. The state has stayed ahead of the competition by sticking with its world-class casinos. Let's take a step back to understand how this desert outpost began evolving into the infamous Sin City we recognize today. Dark historical origins. At the end of the 19th century, Las Vegas was nothing like the bright and busy city we know today. It was just a small, quiet stop in the middle of the Nevada desert. Travelers and merchants would rest there for a short time to escape the hot, dry desert before continuing their long trips across the tough American West. The town didn't have many buildings or much to it. It was just a place to take a break. The first hint of transformation arrived in 1905 when the railroad rolled into town. The building of the railroad helped connect Las Vegas to many different travel routes, making it easier for people to trade and travel. But even with the railroad station, Las Vegas was still just a small, simple place. Not at all like the flashy city we know today. The big change for Las Vegas came in the 1920s, when Nevada made some bold choices. While other parts of the country were cracking down on things like gambling, alcohol, and other bad habits, Nevada decided to go in a different direction. The state was having money problems, so they decided to make some big changes to help the economy. Gambling was made legal, and things like prostitution were allowed. While the rest of the country was dealing with prohibition, when alcohol was illegal, Nevada let people drink freely. Even getting married or divorced became super easy, with the whole process taking just a few hours. These relaxed laws made people from other states come to Nevada, and Las Vegas became known for its wild reputation and nicknamed Sin City. It wasn't until the 1930s that Las Vegas really started to change. The building of the Hoover Dam brought lots of workers to the area and changed the dry, empty land. For the first time, Las Vegas had plenty of water and electricity, which were really important for turning the small desert town into a busy city. The dam also created jobs and helped the economy grow, which made the population grow and allowed the city to build more things like roads and buildings. While the Hoover Dam was being finished, Nevada took a big risk by becoming the only state in the country to make gambling completely legal. This decision was a huge turning point for Las Vegas. While other states were dealing with prohibition, which made alcohol illegal, and shutting down secret bars where people still drank, Las Vegas took a completely different approach. The city became a place where people could do things that were against the law in other places. They could gamble in huge casinos, drink freely, and even get a quick divorce without a lot of hassle. It became a city where the rules were a little more relaxed, which drew a lot of people looking for freedom from the strict laws in other parts of the country. As more people came to Las Vegas to enjoy these new freedoms, the city's population grew quickly, and with that came big changes. The rise of these new freedoms also attracted the attention of organized crime groups. These groups saw Las Vegas as a place where they could make a lot of money by running casinos and other businesses. They helped create the famous Las Vegas casinos that we know today, but they also brought crime and corruption with them. These mob-controlled casinos became a big part of the city's history and made Las Vegas famous for not just its entertainment, but also its shady dealings behind the scenes. This combination of freedom, excitement, and crime helped Las Vegas develop a unique reputation that would last for many years. And that's all for today. Thanks for watching.